You've probably seen the headlines, right? The ones asking if the keto diet can help fight cancer. It's a huge, really emotional topic, and there are some incredibly strong claims out there. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and take a hard look at what the science actually says.
You have almost certainly seen or heard this phrase. It's incredibly powerful, it's memorable, and honestly, it sounds like the perfect solution, doesn't it? Keto starves tumors. That has become a major headline, and it offers a really compelling promise.
So the big question is it actually true? Is that simple promise backed up by solid human evidence, or is the reality, a lot more complicated? Let's dig in and start with where this whole idea even came from. Okay, first, let's talk about why this idea got so popular in the first place. To get that, we need to break down the simple logic that makes the whole starve cancer promise seem so plausible. And the logic they present seems so straightforward, right? It's just this simple three-step idea. Step 1, tumors absolutely love sugar, glucose, for energy. Step 2, the keto diet gets rid of pretty much all of that sugar. So step 3, the tumor runs out of fuel and starves. It's such a clean, simple argument that it just feels like it has to be right.
And just to be super clear, this idea didn't come from nowhere. It's actually rooted in some real, though very preliminary science. Early studies in labs and on animals did show that if you restrict glucose, you could sometimes slow down tumor growth. There's even been some specific interest for certain brain cancers like glioblastoma, so you can totally see where all the hope and excitement comes from.
But, and this is a huge but, this is where that simple, hopeful story crashes right into a very complex reality. So here's the fundamental problem. That simple idea is built on the assumption that tumors only have one thing on the menu, sugar. But the complex reality? Well, cancer cells are incredibly adaptable. They're survivors. When you take away their favorite food, many of them can just switch to eating something else.
This ability to adapt is the whole key to understanding what we call cancer metabolism. You have to think of cancer cells less like picky eaters and more like, opportunistic scavengers. They are literally wired to survive. So if the glucose is gone, they can often just pivot and start metabolizing amino acids from the protein you're eating or fatty acids from fat. They find a way.
And here is the real kicker, the most ironic twist in this whole story. That special energy source your body produces on a keto diet, the ketones, can actually become fuel for some tumors. This completely flips the starve cancer idea on its head. Instead of starving it, you might just be serving it an alternative meal. Okay, so this brings us out of the laboratory and into the real world. Because when we start talking about actual patients who are going through cancer treatment, the conversation has to shift from these theoretical benefits to some very well-documented, tangible risks. This right here is probably the most important piece of the puzzle, or maybe the piece that's missing. Despite all the buzz you see online, right now there are no large-scale human clinical trials that prove a ketogenic diet can cure or even reliably control cancer. The hype has just run way ahead of the actual human data.
Now, what doctors and dietitians do see consistently are the serious risks. For a body that's already under the immense stress of fighting cancer, a super restrictive diet can cause dangerous weight loss and muscle wasting. Patients can struggle with awful fatigue, constipation, and major nutrient gaps, making it almost impossible to get enough calories to heal. And what's most critical, if a patient gets too weak, it can actually delay their life-saving treatments like chemo or radiation.
So, if a strict keto diet isn't the magic bullet, then what is? Let's pivot and talk about what the evidence actually supports when it comes to nutrition during cancer care. Well, the goals that are based on solid evidence are much more balanced and, frankly, sustainable. The real focus is on keeping your blood sugars stable, avoiding those huge spikes and crashes. It's about limiting added sugars and super refined carbs to help lower inflammation. But the bedrock, the foundation of it all, is eating a balanced diet. Why? Because that's the safest, most effective way to fuel your body for the incredible fight it's in. So what does that strong foundation actually look like on a plate? It's not about extreme restriction. It's all about building the body up with foods that are packed with nutrients. We're talking lots of vegetables and whole fruits, legumes and whole grains, lean proteins and healthy fats. The goal is total nourishment, not deprivation. So after all of this, what's the bottom line? If you're going to take one thing away from this whole explainer, what should it be? It really all comes down to this single idea. The biggest danger of trying to starve a tumor by cutting carbs too aggressively is that you risk starving the patient. You risk weakening the very body that needs every last bit of strength for treatment and for recovery.
And that means the entire goal of nutrition during cancer has to be reframed. It's not about using food as a weapon to attack the tumor. It's about using food as a tool to build up and fortify your own body, to give yourself the strength and resilience you need to get through the entire journey, not just through treatment, but into recovery and beyond.
And that leaves us with this one final, crucial shift in your thinking. The most powerful thing you can do is to change the question you're asking. Stop asking, how do I starve the tumor? And instead, start asking, how do I best fuel my body? Because in the fight against cancer, true strength, it always starts with nourishment.